Okay, let's just to talk through some of the clips. Some of them are, I'm not going to harp on about different things, but when we look at this clip, it's pretty obvious that it's our 1v1 defense. It's just a chance, it's an opportunity that we can hold them in the corner here, that we can turn them over, and they kind of feel like it's relentless pressure. So when we decide to high press in these corners, we just need to really take care, and that's why we've got to focus on our 1v1 stuff. Um, I think if they're going to get out, we have to really earn it rather than us giving them a bit of an easy out. I think this is quite an interesting clip, and it's something that I spoke to the back four on. Or if you end up in that position, that we need to stay switched on. We really, really need to stay switched on. We're constantly in the game, because when you look at this clip and the way it plays out, we've got three defenders, and we've only got two of these guys here. So it's just important that we realise that these aerials, we've our free man here, we have our centre midfield here, we kind of get roles reversed, but we can't allow this happen, and we have to stay switched on. Okay, I think this is really, again, a really interesting clip, and it's again just the small details that we need to get them right. So when I look at this, I think we're set up quite good, and we're set up in a half court, and we're holding our positions, and then for some reason we have Richie's attention is dragged here, and he's dragged over here, and leaves that hole, and at the same time we have our left back who's after heading back this direction. Okay, when really where we do want him is somewhere in around here, sitting in here. Midfielder then going to be sitting up here, and this isn't available. And all that happens is that happens, and that's the area of the pitch that we don't want anything going into. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it happens, but it's just a little detail that we need to make sure we don't get wrong, and ideally it happened. It did happen in the friendly. Okay, I'm just gonna watch this clip through, and I want to just speak through identifying what phase are we in. Okay, so when we go back, and the clip starts off, as a group we need to identify we're not in a half court. We're in a deep defense at this stage. Monkstown are in a handball phase, and we're in a deep defense. Okay, and there's a really important point here for the forwards that I want to realise, that when we see this situation here, and you have Gary and Eddie here, okay, and they have three forwards, so we have our two guys here, and they have three forwards. What we're going to look to try and make happen is, rather than go man on man across here like we may decide to do in a half court, what we want to happen is that these two are managing these three players around here. Okay, so at this stage in a deep defense, we have Gary who is managing this guy here. Okay, we've Eddie who's going to manage this guy over here. Okay, exactly as they are, and we have a point where if Stephen Cole drives forward, he comes forward to here, we'll have to pick a point where we'll say, look, there's the point of no return, for example, that one of us will have to engage him there, whether it be the free man, centre midfield, or one of the forwards. Okay, what we want to happen is that when the ball gets played out, for example this way, all right, that Gary is now in a position that he comes over, and Eddie can wrap around in here, and Eddie ends up coming into this position here. Okay, this means that the free man, when the ball ends up out on this side, okay, at this stage, this is a scenario we'd like to see happen. Okay, but what would mean is that we have a free man over here, Adam, who's our right wing, who now can be in here, which will in turn allow Shane and midfielder to step into this area. And the only danger ball is the guy on the very, very far side of the pitch. Okay, what ends up happening, and it doesn't, we kind of get away with it here. We end up in a situation that when we step, we have our three forwards stepping up on these three guys. Okay, as Adam's inclined about to do, we end up man on man all over the pitch. Okay, it doesn't necessarily play out exactly like this, but it's just something we really need to be aware of. That in a deep defense, that's not what we're looking to happen. Okay, in a half court, yeah, that's the decision we want to make. Okay, another really, really good learning point from the forwards, and this is if you decide to step out at times in matches. Okay, what we need to identify is that we have a forward who's dropped in, and we're so fluent that we have Koos, I think it is, who's dropped in, offered a really good position on the 45. Okay. Okay, so this is our forward, one of our forwards, Koos. Okay, we have Neil, who's picked up a really good position over here and is going forward, and Brownlow, so he's effectively two midfielders ahead of him. Goes to play the pass and it doesn't come off. What's important is that we realise now very quickly that we have Neil acting as the forward. We've Adam and we've Eddie. We've three forwards in there. And the easiest way to identify this and the easiest way to realise things like this is that when we see Adam addressing this guy and going from, we only need one person to go. When we see the situation happen that we've two guys going to pressure the ball on one, we end up with somebody missing in midfield, and we end up with caps like this. Okay, I understand the situation was controlled, and then obviously we had a turnover, which happens. But the point is to do with the stepping and forwards that we realise and we can adapt, and we have this awareness. What I think we need to realise from this situation, okay, is as a back four and as a back three, marking players in particular, again, it's where we can't switch off, okay, and it's the only area where I think we are sometimes getting caught out, that we're switching off when play goes too far ahead. So, for example, we've decided to step through. It's really important that when we step through in a higher press, that our three defenders aren't somewhat zonal, but are more aware of what's going on and stepping through and managing where players are. So in this scenario, we have a left back. Okay, we've played through, and there's been a missed pass, so there's a turnover. And immediately, what we need to do as players is realise, okay, we have a left back out here. It needs to switch on and go, okay, where's my player? Where are the defenders? Where are the forwards? So when you actually look at it, we have one forward, two forwards, and the third forward's out here. And you have three defenders, and then it's myself as free man. And if we've a really switched on back forward, as soon as it turns over, you're coming inside. We have a guy sprinting in here. It would make a world of a difference to have a third guy in. Okay. It's just little areas of getting it right to stay switched on the whole time. Then when we really start to get the details right, okay, and I think this is absolutely brilliant from our right forward. Yeah, probably get pulled back a little bit, but what it does is it creates a scenario where he goes with this pass and we're so switched on, we step, super step, really, really brilliant step, and okay, maybe we might look to be more fluent in what we're doing in the counter attack, and that's why we're constantly working, man. But at the end of the day, if we're scoring goals from that and we're not even where we know we can get to, it's just brilliant. I think this is a brilliant clip for forwards. I think the aliveness of Adam's feet, the double stepping and what he's doing as a centre forward, the bungee sort of situation that he's on, makes things really difficult for the centre backs. And I think what he does is excellent. He's constantly applying an area of pressure on them, but he's not committing, and he's actually opening the gate for them to go for passes like that, and a super read from Eddie. And it's a fantastic goal. The guy who did all the work in that initially, and then the important part being that we're so switched on as left and right wing. Okay, if you want to have another look, we're going to go, you see Adam step, hold, readjust, step, doesn't commit, just constantly asking questions of him. I think it's fantastic when you see this double step, hold, double step. It's constantly on really good angles, as we spoke about, that we have the centre forward coming on these angles. From there in, and then bungeeing back out, and then we're on this angle, rather than just shuffling side to side. Okay, realise his angles are decent, but he's going to pull out. Again, he's constantly alive, he's constantly asking the question, and eventually forces a bit of a miss pass. Great read by Eddie, and a superb effort to get ahead of the ball from Adam and Gary and Brownlow. Really superb. Okay, I think this is another really brilliant clip. So at times when we get an opportunity to step out, okay, and we decide we make a decision to step out and we go for it, I think there's a couple of really key learning points in this. One, I think it's brilliant how we adapt. Eddie decides to make a decision to close this guy down. Richie continues his run and just adapts, and we're just fluent, and he comes in early enough to pressure the ball. From here, there's a really important message that we can all constantly be trying to work on, okay? And if you compare it to the clip earlier where we had the forward stepping up and creating four forwards, there's this really subtle movement and awareness in the centre from Eddie here, which is key. It's that movement there where Eddie's maybe about to go and step and pressure the guy in the ball here, realises Gary's gone, and straight away you can see his head is turning around. He's looking in this direction, going, what's around? Where could he possibly be looking? This is where Eddie's head is looking, and he's going to adapt. And straight away, this subtle movement of holding back here closes down his passing options, and immediately gives up Richie the opportunity, steps aggressively, really pressure receive, turnover. Okay, it's a really key learning point of awareness. Somebody goes a step, somebody else realises, we adapt, cut out his passing options, and it's brilliant. Again, really good stepping from Adam. Real alertness in this. Created a situation where the centre backs are getting a little bit wide and bringing our wingers into play. Eddie steps. Richie steps. Okay, what I wanted to make the point on it is that we've decided to go for it, and brilliant step. We get it slightly wrong. Okay, it's an area we want to obviously try and get better at. Absolutely brilliant awareness from Richie. He's so aggressive on this because he realizes where it's going. Again, look, we made a mistake. We got eliminated on the initial one. Richie, be disappointed we get eliminated again. Okay, but we still have cover in there. I think that's what's really important is that you realize in the background, okay, because the ball's on this side of the pitch, you'll see now that Neil is starting to make his way in here as our opposite catcher. And what you find ends up happening is, again, when you see Neil is the one who's actually one of our deepest player and covering at the very end of play. Could Neil stay in there? Yeah, because it's actually his guy. If we stayed there, would have ended up probably been intercepting it. Okay, and I do think it's brilliant awareness from Neil. Probably could have hung on there a little bit longer. Just there's loads of really positive in that, and it was good to get the group discussing it, and have a look at it. There's so many really good points, particularly as we progress to the second half and we got the smaller details right. But this is just a chance to maybe talk through little things where you can get people can improve on little areas the whole time, and if we constantly get these little tiny differences, the little subtleties actually make a big difference, because we see how good we are on the counter and how brilliant we are at playing off it. Okay.